So we are live. Today is Wednesday, July 5th, and we are here today to hear all about Caroline's journey in the Move with Ease method and hear about how she was able to overcome her stiff and soreness and aches and pains. It looks like, Caroline, there's something blocking your lens.
There shouldn't be though.
Because I can
Hold on.
see,
There we go.
There we go. Was it like a piece of tape?
No, I think it's one of those sort of cameras that has a little bit of a dial, and I must have been dialed.
It was just not focused.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a fancy camera. How are you today? Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Yeah.
Just trying to stay cool.
I was gonna say you look glowy though. Did you just come from tennis?
Well, I was out doing a bit of gardening as early as possible this morning. So it's amazing how warm it was even at like 8:30 in the morning. Like I was just in shock. And now like it's gone up like a degree every 15 minutes, it feels like.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Caroline and I are both in Ottawa, Canada, and it's really hot today and yesterday. Like,
yeah,
it's like you stand outside and you're sweating.
Yeah.
Like
I'm running from shade to shade.
You're a shade hunter. Do you have plans to go outside for tennis, or you're going to take a break today?
Not today.
Yeah, no, it's probably too much.
Yeah, in all honesty, I was playing yesterday morning, and the feeling of a river of sweat, if I leaned down to pick up the ball, it just like came right down at me. And it was like, it's like one of those moments where you're just kind of like going, this can't be.
Yeah,
this can't be good.
It's really extreme, this weather.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in Ottawa, we get this, or we get -40 and ice storms. So anyway, gotta love our seasons. For those who are just jumping in, or if you're watching the replay, this is Caroline. I'm Tatiana. I'm the founder of the Move with Ease method. I am a physiotherapist, a health coach, mindful movement coach, and I'm so excited that Caroline is here today because she's going to share with us her experience in my 12-week program, which she just completed. Oh, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was one of my first through and has quite a lot of things to share with you. So without further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first, Caroline, so they know your background and like your activity level and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that I was an active child, but at a certain point in time, I started to become more active, like in my teens and in my 20s. And I would just do things, you know, like a bit of aerobics, a bit of this or that or whatever. And it was actually about 10 years ago that my husband decided to start tennis up. And I looked at him and I went, "You're crazy." And then I did the same. So
give us some context. 10 years ago, how old were you guys?
Paul was 45 and I was 50. So
starting a pretty new activity, right, for you at the age of 50.
Yeah. But I've always, you know, like enjoyed racket sports. Like I did play a bit of squash or little things like that. And I did occasionally maybe pick up a racket, you know, but I was a swimmer as a what I would call it through my teens into my 20s. I did a lot of swimming, right? Very no impact kind of sport, right?
Okay. Yep.
Lots of mobility in every single one of my joints, you know, like, I mean, I always find it interesting, actually, sometimes what my body allows me to do, and it really shouldn't.
And tell us about your work. Did you work?
So so I was in software pretty much 30 some years, and I am retired now.
Okay.
And you know, I was still working when the pandemic hit.
Yep.
And it was not like, the pandemic actually is one of the points in my life where I would say my overall mental and physical health declined without me fully realizing it.
Yeah.
Like, I was still working out, but I wasn't doing the variety of things. And for example, going to yoga was not, and I really shouldn't have not done the online stuff that my studios were offering me, but I found it to be,
it wasn't the same. Yeah.
It wasn't the same. The community wasn't there.
Yeah.
Really, right?
Yeah.
So I let that go, which is a huge mistake. It was like, I know
we learned from it though. And you just did the Move with Ease, which was an online community, online movement.
Yes.
And you were able to get benefit from it, which is pretty cool, right?
Yes, very much.
So I think pandemic really turned off a lot of people from a lot of those activities.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it's like, oh, we shouldn't have, but can't turn back time.
Yeah. I didn't make that paradigm shift until the Move with Ease, right? I was doing online workouts, but not yoga. Like, there's something about working with an instructor who's watching you. That, and you do watch us. Like, when we do flows with you, you watch us, which is something maybe I could have found again, you know, and definitely if we ever go through something like this, I will not let that go. So
let's hope not in our lifetimes, right?
Yeah.
Or ever again. Yeah.
Knock on wood, right? Let's but yeah, so I've always been somebody who wanted to feel that my body was optimally challenged, let's say. And that's an interesting choice of words, because sometimes challenge is not always a good thing.
Right. And I remember some of your answer. We're going to dig into that a little bit. So
yeah.
Speaking of challenge, what was the number one challenge, or you can say maybe one or two, that motivated you to join the Move with Ease method?
So I was feeling pain in areas that it was never going away. It was just staying, and it was a distraction, both mentally and emotionally, quite honestly. You know, like when you feel a little twinge here and there that lasts, you know, or you do a workout and you have the soreness after, but when it's persistent and you cannot find, you cannot be in a certain position physically without feeling that pain, right? And it's not like you're doing an exercise, you're just sitting and you're feeling pain. That was very destructive, right? I mean, it like I said, it had an emotional, it had a mental, physically, luckily, it was not destructive physically. It was just unaddressed pain.
Okay.
And so, you know, being able to truly realize that what I had been doing was not moving enough.
That's what that leads to the next question. What was the realization new since the program?
Yeah, not moving enough. Also trying to do things that were probably too strong at too quick of intervals, right? Like overstretching, not really allowing some healing, and I wasn't using my mind, and I also wasn't using my inner core, and I wasn't always using my breath. So, and you know what's really quite interesting for me is that I've had all of these foundations for years.
I was going to say, you've been practicing yoga, and so what do you think is that missing link? Like, why is that, why was the Move with Ease method different than going to yoga classes or going to a physio here and there, or whoever else you might see for your mind and body?
I think for me, it was that I could practice, and I could practice every hour. And I needed to practice almost every hour. Like, I'm not saying that I'm practicing every hour, but I'm practicing a lot more, both mentally and physically, right?
And to give context, she's not talking about every hour she's doing a full yoga class, right?
No.
It's like these small little bite-sized pieces, whether it's a little bit of breath work, a little bit of connection to your inner core, a little bit of, ooh, like I'm tensing this. I need to just take 5 seconds to breathe in and out and let it go. And that you found that really, that connection was helpful.
Oh yeah. Like, you know, in the evening, you tend to find yourself sort of like couch potatoing, and especially in winter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, now, as soon as I kind of like, oh no, you've been sitting too long, I'll just take a walk around, or I'll take Elena out for just a pee break outside. My dog, sorry.
Not her husband.
You know, and things like that, just to get myself sort of like, you know, or I'll stand and do something standing, or, you know, like things like that. And I'm actually finding that even like household chores, right? I'm spacing them out sort of so that I do things throughout a day that get me in and out and up and down the stairs and everything else, right?
Rather than stacking something that's always bent forward and then paying for it. It's not rocket science, but sometimes it just takes that little bit of guidance, right?
Yeah.
That little bit of, oh yeah, I could do that, you know? Did you have any positive experience in terms of the pains that you had coming into the program?
So the one really wonderful day was when we decided to do a mind work, an awareness work of how you can make your mind look elsewhere in the body versus being so focused on the pain area. And as soon as we started doing that, my pain area was like, I'm not here anymore. You're not listening to me. And I went, yeah, I'm not listening to you, and you're not in pain. What is going on here? So, you know, when we talk about our minds, sometimes even our minds create pain.
Yeah. I always tell my clients this, like, your pain is real. All pain is real. However, there's a lot of different kinds of pain, right? There's memory pain, there's bone pain, joint pain, muscle pain. Memory pain, though, is kind of what you're talking about. It's kind of like a learned habit. And when we change it into a curious, different, if you shift it a little bit, right? It's really cool how it can be different, but you have to believe in it and be even aware that you're doing it. And that's tough.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it worked for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a work in progress.
Yes.
And it does take a lot to get yourself clicking with that sort of mindset.
Yeah.
And I respect that, because I think anything that, you know, has real value isn't just given like that, you know. It's not like as if you can just open this box and kind of like go, oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
That's definitely, I say it all the time with health, like it's like banking a little bit every day. At the beginning, it feels like, what am I even doing? Does this even work?
yeah,
When you reflect back, a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, you really reap those benefits.
yeah. And
If
I
you
really didn't want to allow myself to think that it was just my age.
Thank you. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
Like, oh, is this what getting old feels like? I hear that all the time. And
yeah,
I always say it's very common, but it doesn't have to be your normal, right? And think of all the years left. Like,
yeah.
want quality, not just quantity.
Like you have to explore it. In my case, it wasn't like as if I had arthritis. It wasn't, if I'd had things that were, I would have worked with them,
Yeah.
but I really knew that I wasn't
Waiting for a hip
impeded.
replacement or something. And even if you were, you're still better to move to
Yes,
get prepped for surgery and then come out of surgery stronger and rehab quicker.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
If
And
you go back and tell yourself one thing that you now know isn't true, what would it be?
the thing that wasn't true was that my pain would be permanent. Like it felt like it was permanent at the moment, it really was like, I don't know what to do to get rid of this, right? And it really did make me question if it was my age. Age definitely does have a contributing factor.
Mhm.
You have to be more you have to do more restorative things, right? And you have to give yourself enough time to recover from a thing.
And the intention of doing it.
Yes.
Like that connection of I'm intentionally being mindful to do that so I
Yeah.
can heal, right?
Yeah.
Not like when you're 20 and you're like, well, I should just go for a hike and I'll feel better.
But I also do see, even in myself younger, where I should have taken more time in certain cases to give that more relaxation in
Yeah.
healing or restoring, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I actually think that you notice them more as you age, but you're still doing the same thing even in your 20s.
Oh, absolutely. You just can get away with it a bit more though, right?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Especially, and it's men too, but women go through a lot of bodily changes, hormonal shifts. And
Yes.
I'm sorry, but it does matter,
Yes.
right? When
Yes.
a lot of my clients, not all of them, but some get brushed off easily by doctors, or whoever they're seeing. Oh, it's like menopause, perimenopause. But it's not just like it
No.
does have an effect
Yes.
mentally
Yeah.
and physically and
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be very honest. When I went through menopause, because I'm in post-menopause, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
my anxiety levels went to an extreme that I'd never felt before in my life.
Yeah.
And 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 it did coincide with this pain.
Right.
So, so I know that some of this pain was emotional.
Yep.
And that I cannot underemphasize how much your personal view of yourself is the key to how you can be. Like
Yeah.
however you look at yourself, whatever your self-talk is,
Mm-hmm.
it will materialize. So if you say, I'm old and I can't move, it materializes. If you say, I'm not young, but I can move, that is what you will be. I mean, like I see.
It's not woo-woo, right? Like there is truth
Yeah.
to, kindness, self-compassion does foster healing, does it's just like how you would talk to a child. You wouldn't
Yes.
berate them, be negative. Well, you could, but then they get smaller and smaller and shrivel. And it's the same with how you talk to yourself, the same with how you
Yes.
treat your body and your health, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Caroline, if you could tell someone who, like someone else, maybe in our group here,
Yeah.
who is struggling and feeling old, stiff, and sore, and waking up feeling like they're 80, what would it be?
So please move. Just do anything. Even like if you can just get up for a minute every hour or every other hour, but at least something, and just be playful in your body. And when just now when we were saying about you're talking to yourself, talk to yourself like a child and play, because all of that is going to get you to feel better in this body, and the body will respond.
The
Like,
body will pay back, will respond. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
That's great.
And don't be fearful. Yes, be like, if you have injuries or whatever, yes, you must be mindful of those injuries. Like, don't try to do a cartwheel, for God's sakes. but just getting up and just sort of like doing a few nice stretches, to the ceiling, to the side,
The
things like that.
XYZ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a little bit of like, just kind of like, well, not full on jumping jacks or something like that, but even just the movement of the jumping jack, kind of thing. Things that I do that now. I'm doing that all the time now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so especially even when I'm sitting, I'll do little turns to either side, because I've realized that
You've been 2D, you haven't been 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, one last question for you. What are three key things you learned about yourself? And it doesn't have to just be physical. We did touch on it a little bit, but let's use this as a summary while you were in the Move with Ease method. Three key things you learned about yourself.
So for me, I have to not push so hard into any one direction. It's kind of both physical and mental. I would always like be at an extreme, and I wouldn't back off. And even though my body would sort of say, like, you can feel your body kind of like doing this sort of pullback, and you're kind of like going, no, just keep going, right?
Yeah, so I can do this. Let's just do it. Yeah.
So being kinder to myself, and also being more patient, and just also allowing myself to have those emotional reactions where it's not a bad thing to be upset about it all. It just isn't something that you want to stay in that place.
Yeah.
Like, we all have to go all the way around in dealing with any event, situation, or something like that. Like, we all go through, like joy and fear and anxiety and all, and those are all good things.
It's how do we respond to that reaction, not stay stuck in the reaction in fight or flight and spin.
Yeah.
Right? Then you get nowhere. Yeah.
No. I mean, even with these forest fires, I found myself on a couple of occasions feeling anxious and wondering what's going on. And realizing that, well, my body is saying to me, you shouldn't be out here. There's smoke, and things like that. So I think one of the key things about mindfulness is understanding and being kind to yourself, to know that you are going to get negative reactions, quote unquote, negative reactions, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's not written in stone.
No. And that is so true, like you said, about the permanence of pain, right? So when we experience physical pain, it can feel very permanent, but then it's how do we, and so often we are so afraid of pain, we push it away.
Yes.
And we ignore it, or we avoid the thing that we think will make it worse. And there's this very big block. And it's how do we first sit with it, accept it, and then get curious about it, and then realize that we can change it. Like we have that power, but there's like, you know, it takes steps. And I think that's where I think for you, part of the program was helpful to kind of guide you through those steps.
Very much so. Yeah.
And now you can use those tools on your own.
Yeah. And deepening my understanding of some of those steps, because often it's rushed.
Yeah. Well, we all want an instant. We live in such a modern world of Google it. There's the answer. You know, text them. They'll send you back a text right away. But the body's different. We haven't evolved to be that fast.
No.
Right? Like it takes patience, like you said.
A lot of patience.
And that kindness.
Yes. And forgiving. There's a need to forgive. The one thing that I find, I think all humans do this, is that when we get into a certain situation, and let's say it's pain, we accelerate into what that pain means like 5 years down the line.
Right.
Like we feel this little twinge and it's like, oh my God, is this the end of my tennis career?
Right.
And you cannot do this to yourself.
Yeah.
You can do it you can do it. Yes. Okay, fine. You've had that reaction.
Yeah.
But don't put so much value into the reaction, right? It's not permanent. It's not permanent. Nothing is permanent.
That's right. Well, this was so fun. Thank you for doing this. I hope that everyone watching, or if you're watching the replay, that this was helpful to kind of understand what the Move with Ease method is all about. And thank you so much, Caroline, for sharing your journey and being vulnerable and open about it. It's always so nice to share these experiences and the other women in the group, right? Like when we had these weekly coaching calls, it was so, I think that was a huge value, like just to be able to see that, you know, other people are also struggling, not always the same struggle, but to be able to come together, brainstorm, and then we moved together and did breath work together and explored together. And it was really just a great way to get healthier in a positive way with accountability and community, right? So that's amazing. Thank you so much. Again, if anyone is curious and you're watching the replay, you can type book a call or type I'm interested, and I'll send you the link, or I can reach out. You can drop your email. I can send you an email to book a call with me. The call is free. It's just to help you gain clarity for best next steps. And if we're a good fit to work together, I would love to help you stop feeling old, stiff, and sore and really get connected to your mind and body. So I'm going to stop this recording.